Hi guys, I'm Alex and I'm here with Tinybot. Today we're going to be going over how to PPF a door. I'm going to show you guys where to start, certain techniques to be able to get the film down on these corners where there's trim, and then how to pretty much go about your edges, how to clean them up and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so we're going to pick a point to start at. I like to start at the very top because I like to squeegee the water down. If I start squeegeeing the water up, what could happen sometimes is that you start going up, the water starts coming back down like this, so that makes your process longer. So I always start usually from the top and I work my way down. All right, so now that we're gonna start at the top, we're gonna squeegee and make our way down. I'm gonna squeegee across, kind of making like a hinge almost. That's my starting point, and then all I'm gonna do is work my way down. But while we're doing that, we're gonna overlap strokes. So you don't want to just start kind of going all over the place. You want to make sure you want to keep it uniform all the way down. And as I'm making my way down, I go down about 4 inches and then I keep going. That way I kind of know where I'm at and I don't get lost within the panel, because if the soap and water were to get dried up in there, you're gonna have marks, or you're gonna have eventually have bubbles underneath your PPF. We're gonna want to constantly add water. It's gonna act like a lubricant to your squeegee because your squeegee is rubber, and that way it doesn't get stuck, and it helps it slide across. So we're gonna keep going to as flat as we can, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to do relief cuts and certain things so that way your material can stop doing this and it can go flat. All right guys, so now what we're gonna do is we got the majority laid down. We're gonna go ahead and tackle these areas. Little areas like this, don't be too worried about it. On the handle, stuff like this. Right here, where there's a trim, we're gonna go over that. So first, let's go on and tackle the left side. I'm just gonna go cut and probably leave about inch and a half over, because I still remember it's still matte, so I still need to tuck it in as far as I can. As you can see, that laid down already. That's what we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my soap and water, just spray it down one more time. And again, just go ahead and overlap your squeegees. And as you can see, this area is no longer a problem anymore. So now that I have this, I just have a little problem area. This one's already gone, but I'm gonna go ahead and flush it out. What my flush solution is just either distilled water or water that's been filtrated. You don't want to use tap water. So what I'm gonna go do is just spray it, and hopefully it just kind of flushes out the extra soap that it has in there. This is just to help speed the process of the drying up. And now it's very minimal now what you have to do, and you could leave that for till the very end. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the other side. So now what we're gonna do is focus on this area. Again, we're gonna cut the excess off just like we did on the other side, because it's not letting us tack the material down. So again, I'm just gonna give it about an inch extra, and I'm gonna cut the shape of the panel that I needed to lay on. And as you can see, a lot of this stuff is trying to go away. Just like that. See, now it can sit in there as you want. What I'm gonna do is, again, just hit it with a little bit of soap and water, just because it's been sitting here for a little bit already. Oh, as you can see, how it tacks. Just hit it with some soap and water so you can manage it. All right, so now that I sprayed it with soap and water underneath, I'm gonna go ahead again and spray the top surface, so that my squeegee can slide. And again, we're working with overlapping strokes. Now we have some areas where it doesn't want to tack on right away, and you really wanted to tack on just, for faster. We're gonna go ahead again and just flush out the soap. Alright guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start tucking stuff in. Since this is matte PPF, I went ahead and removed the trim. Typically, when you're gonna do a matte PPF, you want to try to remove as many pieces as you can, just so you can get that full coverage. Especially if you feel like it's gonna be a little iffy, or if the gaps are just not there for you, or you know you can't do it. So what we're gonna do is just make sure we squeegee. We're gonna go ahead and cut about a 1/4 inch off of the actual line of the panel, and then we're gonna go ahead and tuck all that stuff in. And then what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead, flush it out, and then we'll stick it and it should land somewhere in there. And then that will give you the max coverage that you need, because once you put your trim back piece back on, it'll line up, but your PPF will be right under it. As you're doing this, just make sure you take your time. Don't need to rush, because one bad cut and you're gonna have to redo this panel again. Just like that. So now we have sufficient film to flush out and push in. And I'll show you guys how that looks right now. Then we flush it out with our water. Now what we're gonna do is just tuck it in. And this is far enough to where you won't see any of this gloss paint once you put your trim piece back on. If you go in here, you'll see how far it goes in. You can distinguish the matte from the gloss paint right here. And then your trim piece is eventually gonna line up right here, so you have more than enough film to cover that. This one we can actually just cut on the edge of the opposite side, because it's not too far, and it's a perfect line. So we're just gonna go ahead, lay the film down while we run the blade on the edge of the panel, just like that. So we're gonna go do the same thing, just flush it out. As we're flushing out, remember we're pushing out all the extra soap that we don't need, just to be able to make this process a little faster.
What happens if you don't wash out all the soap?
Oh, I mean, it's just a preference. You know, you wanna really just focus on this area quickly, flush out the soap. But if not, you just let it sit for a couple minutes so it starts drying up, and you can go ahead and start doing this. But it's just a speed up process. All right, after we've done this already, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to cut this so that when you're next to a trim piece, and then how it should look. All right guys, so we're coming back to this area. We already let it sit for a little bit, so it should be fairly dry already. What I'm just gonna do one more time is just go ahead and just push all the way to the edge, to where the plastic and the paint meet, just to make sure that everything's out of the way. What I'm gonna do is make sure you have a sharp blade. There's a little gap, you're just gonna feel for it. You know, put your blade in there, and then just right the gap like that, all the way to the end, like this. All right guys, so now that I've cut it, you can go ahead and take a look. It looks really good, it looks really neat. And you just gotta make sure that you tuck the film in as far as you can with your squeegee before you go ahead and cut it. If you do miss a piece, you will see the gloss paint underneath, but go ahead and take a look. You can see this is the difference between a non-cut with the cut. You know, you have all this excess, but this is how it should look eventually, all throughout all this trim. Alright guys, so what we're gonna do for this door handle is gonna be very simple. All we're gonna do is just cut the PPF pretty close to where the door handle is, just to give a little bit of extra, because there is a little bit of paint that goes in. Once we cut it out, we'll go ahead and heat it and fold all that PPF in. All right, so once we cut it, we're gonna go ahead and just peel the excess film that we have, so we can go ahead and tuck the PPF that we need in there. As you guys can see, we've cut it. We got a finger here. All we're gonna do is fill it up with some water. We're gonna watch it go away. Same thing with this side. Spray a little bit of water. Again, we're flushing out the soap. There you go. What we'll do next is we're gonna go ahead open this door, open the door, we'll pop the handle, and then we'll just go ahead and heat it up and tuck it in once it's dry. So now that it's dried up, we went ahead and tucked it in. This is how it should look. It looks very seamless. We pushed everything in. The door handle popped open. We went ahead and cut off all the excess. Now this door handle on this vehicle is fairly easy. There's other vehicles that will have an actual door handle that you pull. With stuff like that, you do want to remove those because you do want the PPF to look flush in one piece. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and focus on cutting our edges. What we're going to do is we're going to cut on the opposite side of the panel up against the edge of the quarter panel. And as you're cutting, you want to make sure you have a sharp blade, because if not, it could get pretty jagged and your line will look very ugly. We're going to go all the way down so that we can go ahead and tuck this around the door just like that. I'm going to go ahead and just remove this. And the next step to do would be to open the door and tuck it into the back. Alright guys, so we're gonna let this panel dry. We'll go ahead and do the other side. As we're doing that side, this one's drying. Once we do the exact same thing we did here on the other side, we'll come back and finish all this off, tuck it in, and we should be ready to go. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope some of these tips were helpful for you. If you guys want to see anything new, make sure you guys comment, make sure you subscribe, follow us, and stay tuned for the next video.